I was not really a gamer. Took me a while to get this, but I was at one of my oldest friend's house, and in England, and his son is 14 years old. Saturday afternoon, and his son's in a gaming chair in front of a gigantic screen with a headphone and microphone on. I'm like, Daryl, why is Harry not out playing with his friends? He goes, well, he was out playing football this morning, but he's with his mates now. I'm like, no, he's not. He's on his own. He's like, oh, you don't understand Fortnite, do you? I'm like, no, I don't. And he explained that Harry's hanging out with this friend he met on holiday who's in the US, a couple of kids he met in Spain, a friend of his who left school and has moved to Manchester, 400 miles away, and the kids next door and some of his schoolmates. And they're all together in Fortnite, chatting, hanging out, doing stuff. And he's like, oh God, and Harry's always hitting me up for money because he's buying a new skin or a new sword, or I'm like, oh. And he goes, yeah, and he sells them and makes money. And then it all dawned on me, is that the digital world is now native for hundreds of millions of people. In fact, there's, 2 or 3 billion gamers. So people are already in that world. We just haven't connected it properly. But as you start moving in to that world, as the computing power catches up, because right now to really live in like an Epic Games Fortnite world in quality, you need a gaming computer. And that's a different computer than most of us have at work or home or our mobile phones. So we're not there yet where it's available to everybody. You need a particular setup, but that's coming fast. So that 4K rendition of the world, is so super real. And then I understood about skins and all of this stuff. I'd gone down that learning curve, realized that obviously these were going to be NFTs, and then you could trade them easily. You could take them across platforms and it becomes what's known as interoperable. I got that. And then I got invited to the Dolce & Gabbana NFT pre-launch. And so they'd done they designed some clothing that was unique, one-offs, NFT'd them, and said, oh, we'll give you the digital rendition of this for your use in the metaverse in the future. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It's kind of, both worlds combined. And then they said, oh, and here's two, a men's jacket, 3 things, men's jacket, a piece of jewelry, and a woman's dress that cannot exist in the real world. So we asked the Dolce & Gabbana lead designers to invent a material that could not exist and create clothing and objects. So they created this gorgeous men's jacket. I'm not a big D&G fan, but this jacket was gorgeous in 4K, ultra high definition. And I'm like, I would wear that in my digital representation of myself, because you can be anybody. And well, lo and behold, 2 months later, those NFTs sold at 6.6 million. That came out yesterday. So I get it. All of these worlds are coming together. And what you think is this weird world of crypto, which is an investment world and whatever, it's actually not. It's the building blocks for the transfer of value and storage of digital goods, which is where the world is going as we start going into the metaverse. If we'd have gone back 3 years, James, you and I would have had to have done this when I was in Miami, or we were both in New York, and we'd done it with cameras, and now digital is normal. In fact, we've never met in person, but we've had hours of conversations, and we would refer to each other as friends because we're now so used to doing it digitally. That is a huge change. People don't get it. They're like, well, this is not the metaverse. It is. Everything is the metaverse. The metaverse is not one kind of owned experience owned by Facebook or whoever. It's our digital fluidity where our real lives and our digital lives, like this Zoom is for us, is now, it's our life. We don't think of it as not real life. Did I speak to James or not? Of course I did. It's real life, but it's digital. It's fascinating.